In this lesson, we're going to continue to talk about rendering in Twinmotion. We're going to explore more features about the real-time renderer and the path tracer. We're going to see how we can export, save renders using these two different render engines that we have in Twinmotion. And you can see here, this is an exterior rendering that we prepared on the previous lesson. So we're going to move into an interior setting again. So we're going to move from the ArcViz visualization here from an exterior to interior, but you can see that we can still see the interiors. You can still see through. Now we have some effects that I think we can add to improve the realism, which are the depth of field, and also we can work with advanced materials and advanced PBR effects like we did in the previous video. We saw we can work with reflections, with refractions, so glasses and mirror, metallic objects, and also the water material that is really interesting here in Twinmotion. It has a really good realistic effect. So we're going to continue. We're going to continue to explore how we can finalize, what are the tools that can help us to finalize and create a realistic rendering. So right now you can see it's rendering with path tracer. And again, this is something that I've set up in the previous lesson. A little bit of HDRI and sun and other effects. So this is the final result here. We have this really cool wet floor, which is perfect for the exterior, for the swimming, the area around the swimming pool. You can see I've also added some landscape here, and I have the sun, I have the ocean, so it's or the sea or the lake. So I kind of started to create a landscape around my project, but we're gonna see this also later on, and we already saw how to create landscape. So we just need to merge the scene that we created so far with a landscape, and we're gonna essentially have something more complex. So when we are in our exterior, we need to make sure that we have a nice surrounding, a nice context. In interiors, we can work like with the closer and smaller areas, because we don't actually see everything, we just see what's inside. Now we experimented with the ambience environment, and also we saw a lot of camera effects and settings. Now in this video we're gonna see also how we can use the render settings and the FX settings. So this is where you can play a little bit with the color correction or color alteration, or you can apply filters like in Instagram, for example, or in other social networks. It's really easy. Everything is extremely easy in Twinmotion, so it's really fun to work with Twinmotion. Also in real time, the effect of the water is beautiful. And if we go in pedestrian mode again, we can explore our scene. So it's not only a static rendering, but it's you can explore it. Now we also use cutouts, like this figure here, this female. So cutout is essentially a 2D effect, that's not a 3D character, and that's gonna like optimize and make the scene a little bit lighter. So there are many tips and tricks that we can learn, and we saw some of these in the previous video to make the scene not so heavy. And one of these is of course using real-time render. And we also saw we can create mirrors, and how we can use reflection probes to improve the quality of the reflections in real time. So reflections are good in path tracer render engine, but they're not so good in real time, but we can improve that. And we also talk about advanced materials, PBR materials, and PBR textures, and how we can use tileable texture like here the floor, or non-tileable texture like the graffiti on the wall. And we're gonna make some more example here, because I want to show you like how to create a picture frame and also a TV screen with animated materials. But first of all, let's switch back to some medium details in the quality settings, or perhaps also even lower. So we can set up the resolution of the real time and the path tracer, and also the details. Details concern geometry, so objects and meshes. They also concern shadows and also textures. So everything will be affected if you turn everything to medium quality. The trees, the vegetation, the props, the assets that you added, they're going to look a little bit less detailed, but so in this case, we can move faster. So we have a picture frame there hang on the wall, so you can get picture frames from the libraries. So you can create your own in your 3D software, or you can just take one of these and just customize it. So this is what I'm gonna do. And first of all, let's see how it's looking when we get really close. So if it has a really high quality texture or low quality texture. Now, when you work with single application of an image, so non-tileable texture, you want to make sure that that's going to have a really good quality in terms of resolution and in terms of pixels. So you can see that if I get real close, it's a really detailed image. It doesn't lose qualities. It is not blurred. It doesn't show pixels. So I need to get really close to see the pixels. And at this close, so in inspection speed or inspect speed, I can pick the material which is like behind a glass film. So we have like a glass plane, and then behind that we have the actual image. So I need to get really close to get that material with the material picker. Once I have that material, I can just customize it. I can just change the texture here, and I can apply any texture that I like. So if you're looking for some frame or picture frame, just type frame or picture frame here in the library. You can see we have some, and we have more if we search for frame. So you can customize all of these ready-made props and paintings or picture frames, photographs. You can customize all of those if you want. So I'm gonna just show you how to do it with this one here. So all we need to do is to change the texture in the diffuse color or albedo channel. So basically the most superficial. So we click there, we open up a new file, and we can get any picture on our computer, or we can get it from the web. So this one here I've taken myself. So I just gonna rotate here. I need to fix the mapping because it's not oriented well. Also, I'm gonna add a grunge effect. I probably add always a grunge effect. Now the base color needs to be pretty clear and white, otherwise it's gonna like override the image. The saturation, the gamma, we can play with those, color correction, and I think this is really interesting because we don't need to like modify the image on Photoshop or graphic design. We can just do it in Twinmotion, and now you can see now it's a good rotation. Now we can play with the scale, and we can see that this is not tileable because this is not like a texture that we want to repeat over and over. It's just an image that we want to place once. So again, that's the difference between tileable, non-tileable images or texture. And then we can stretch if we think the proportions aren't good. So we can stretch it on the X, stretch it on the Y. We are basically working with the mapping, and we can fix it, we can adjust it the way we want. And we can also animate the material again using the speed. But that's only gonna animate it like with this sliding, this horizontal or vertical sliding. So if you want like a more complex video material, you can use videos, and we're gonna see how we can do that. So now if we run a path tracer, we can see that it's looking good. It really looks like a picture frame inside my project. So, you know, I can create even a museum, an exhibition with photographs or work of art. And so in this case, we're gonna stick to the simple house interior. And now let's work with the TV screen. So you can see that if I use the color picker on the TV screen, it's just a black, like really reflective surface. So if I want to change that into a video, I'm just going to show you. But first of all, we can just change the color. So if we change the color, let's make it like green. We're going to have like a green screen effect. You can see how beautiful it looks also with the IES effects that we added previously. And now let's add a texture. So I'm going to look for another texture here.